YouTube Zack going. The Goat House is back with an updated 2-round NFL mock draft just after the Senior Bowl. We had a recent video go up covering the Senior Bowl, stock up, stock down for many prospects there, so check that out. We got a lot of NFL offseason content up as well, covering the big trade that went down, predicting trades, signings, free agency rankings, everything. We got you covered for anything NFL. So hopefully you can join us for all that content and subscribe. Smash that like button. Check out our Twitter. Absolute must follow for NFL coverage. And there's a link in the description and comments for anything there that you need. Right before we get started, there's the Twitter. Check it out. Just constantly talking football, giving you updates, everything. And then I'll pin a link in the comments for this. This is it's a giveaway by the Sided app. So basically, you just come here and you vote who you think. You guys already know I picked the Chiefs. Who you think will win, and then you make the comment. And then you get likes, and by whoever gets the most likes wins $250 and Callaway drivers. So it's not that hard to win this. So you better go give it a shot while you can here. But to the mock draft, I know I'm already going to get ripped for something here. We'll get to it. So we have one big trade. At this time of the year, I don't like doing too many trades because it creates a mess here. But I got Trevor Lawrence going one still. Don't need to break that down. I got Zach Wilson going two as well. They need to upgrade at quarterback. You can't stick it out Sam Darnold. Zach Wilson's just a much better prospect with so much more upside. And I think he fits Mike LaFleur's system coming from that Shanahan system. So I think that'll be ideal for the Jets. I still think that'll be the pick. Penei Sewell to the Dolphins. Some talk about receiver. Could go receiver. I think there's a pretty big gap between Sewell and the rest. There's some other good offensive linemen, don't get me wrong, but I think there's a pretty big gap there. I think you put Sewell at left tackle, you put Austin Jackson at right tackle, and then you move Robert Hunt at guard. Worst case scenario, Sewell's a pretty damn good guard. He could be a pretty damn good guard. That's worst case. So I think they focus on receiver in other picks. I still got Justin Fields fourth to the Falcons. We'll probably do a scenario at some point. We do so many mock drafts in different scenarios where the Falcons pass on a quarterback because some think that's possible. And in the back of my mind, I do think maybe they brought Arthur Smith in to kind of revive Matt Ryan and get the run game going so Matt Ryan's job's easier. But when are the Falcons picking 4? When is a guy like Justin Fields available at 4? He's a number 1 pick in most draft classes. I think he can do what Tannehill did in Arthur Smith's scheme. Plus, he can run more of that read option type plays where you run the quarterback what he wants to do. So I just don't know how they could pass on a guy like this in this scenario. Yes, I have Mac Jones at number 5 to the Patriots, a trade up. Mac Jones, like I've been saying this whole time, is going to go way earlier than you think out there. What you think, the NFL is way higher on him, and he's better than you think. I think Alabama quarterbacks just kind of get these labels, and it's just, there's really not a whole bunch of logic behind things, and I think his season this year, I'm not saying he's better than Tua, but the season this year, the way he played, really looked better than Tua. Very smart quarterback, extremely smart quarterback, great reactions, knows how to, go through progressions, go through his options, read the field, and he's very accurate as well, and he put on a show at Senior Bowl practice, interviewed well with teams as well. The Patriots, I thought they'd be in the market for a veteran quarterback this offseason. Maybe a guy like Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford goes to the Rams, obviously. And then I thought Jimmy Garoppolo could be an option for the Patriots. And now that's less likely because the 49ers didn't land Stafford. But we'll see. But, I think the quarterback, if they want to, because any rookie quarterback's going to be a project. And I think one, if they can't trade up in the top 2, which I don't think they'll be able to, I think the one that they'll like is Mac Jones. I think they'll view him as a fit, and they'll like his knowledge of the game. So the trade scenario that I had here for the Bengals, and it was a fifth overall pick, obviously the Patriots, and then a 15th overall pick and a 2022 first. And that could be pretty good for the Bengals because that 2022 first isn't guaranteed to be that great for the Patriots. Maybe a mid-round pick and go back to the Patriots, but I think it'll be worth it for the Patriots to find their guy that can help them win now and for the guy for the long-term future as well. So that's what I had there. Some people will probably let me have. People are just anti-Mac Jones. He's going to go a lot earlier than you think. Somebody's going to trade up for a quarterback. Teams will try to trade up into the top 1 or 2 for Lawrence, Wilson, or Fields. I don't think they'll be able to do it because I think the Jags will like Lawrence too much. I think the Jets will like Wilson or Fields too much to trade away. Two receivers in a row. We got the Eagles taking Jamar Chase, who's my number one receiver in the class. Was hyping him up since last season, obviously. Do-it-all type of receiver. So the Eagles get that and try to revive Carson Wentz. Lions, this is ideal here. So, I don't want them to be like, all right, Goff's the guy. Let's forget the quarterbacks. They got to do their homework on the quarterbacks. If they have the ability to get somebody that's just for sure, you take them. Guys like Lawrence, Wilson, Fields, and they may like Mac Jones as well. So I don't want them just to scratch off the quarterbacks because they got Goff. That'd be a mistake. But, DeVonta Smith, very talented receiver. Obviously, the Alabama schemed a lot of things up for him, which he was the right guy to do that. He's very good with his footwork, route running, so he's got to get in the open space quick. I think the Lions will do a lot of that with Goff, and, they're talented guys. They're going to run the ball first. So I think DeVonta Smith with Goff would make actually a lot of sense there. So that, in this scenario, I'd be pretty confident that they make that pick. The Panthers go with Trey Lance. They made an offer for Stafford. They've made the calls to the Texans about Deshaun Watson. The Texans do not want to trade Deshaun Watson. So they're staying stubborn on that, but they should be stubborn in my opinion. So it's the right thing that they're doing so far. So the Panthers are obviously looking for a quarterback. They may not, maybe they want a veteran, but I do like Lance in that system. His ability to run the ball himself. I think you kind of open things up too. They can kind of throw a little more play action in there with him, and he can hit that dagger, that long ball. So I think the Panthers will like Trey Lance there at pick 8. Next group of picks could go either corner here. Patrick Surtain. I think the Broncos will like Mac Jones as well if he's there, but they go Patrick Surtain, lockdown corner from Alabama. Teams just feared him, didn't want to throw to his side of the field, and that's appealing. That's more appealing to me really than the playmaking corners. But he can be a playmaker as well. And the Cowboys go corner as well. Caleb Farley, ultimate upside corner. The combination of physicality, speed, former receiver, familiar with man coverage, can press, all those things. So the Cowboys pair him with Trevon Diggs. It looks pretty good. Micah Parsons, very good linebacker prospect, drops down to 11. The Giants take him. Plug him inside, obviously, but he's going to be a big part of the blitzing game. So they're not getting too much production in terms of pass rush production from their actual edge rushers. Their pass rush comes from their defensive line, guys like Leonard Williams, who they need to resign. But if you can add a better prospect that actually gets pass rush, very good blitzer, from the blitzing standpoint, that could be ideal there for the Giants. So I think they'll like him. Kyle Pitts, tight end from Florida, top 5 prospect for me to the 49ers. I've had this a few mock drafts ago, and people let me have it, but I don't think in this scenario with who's on the board, who's off the board, I don't think Shanahan would pass on him. They have Kittle, but you can use 2. It's going to be a mismatch problem. Pitts can play in line, in the slot, outside. George Kittle can do the same thing. So one doesn't have to be off the field. It's going to be a problem for defenses. It just made that offense that much scarier. Much more of a problem, and it's almost filling multiple gaps. It feels like, because really, he's a tight end and a receiver. He's a very good route runner, very good contested catcher, wherever it is. I was about to say outside, but wherever it is. So they would like him. Chargers take Rashawn Slater, who could play guard or tackle. Really, the Chargers could use one of each. So that could help them either way. Some teams will view him as a tackle, some view him as guard. He can play center as well, really. Vikings take Christian Darrisaw, the tackle from Virginia Tech. It could be their future left tackle there. So then they're just in need of a guard. I think they keep Ezra Cleveland at guard there, who they took from Boise State. Was a tackle, so he can play tackle. That's fantastic. I think he looked pretty good at guard, so they'll stick him there. Darrisaw would definitely play left tackle for them, almost like a Brian O'Neill type, but on the opposite side, of course. So the Bengals drop down and still get a solid lineman. The reason they could trade back in this scenario is because they could be targeting Penei Sewell, who I think there's a pretty good gap between him and, even though these three went in a row, these three they're damn good. I just think Sewell's just a sure thing and just better, plain and simple. So if they can't get him, they trade back. They get that first round pick, and they still get Elijah Vera Tucker, who can play guard or tackle. He probably starts at guard day one. More of a possibility, but he'd be a really, really good guard. He won't allow that interior pressure, but. The Bengals paid Joe Mixon all this money. He's a damn good back, but they just can't run block either. That might be a bigger thing, So that definitely helps in that category. The Cardinals go Jaylen Waddle, just too good to pass up. Larry Fitzgerald probably done, and they need some more help for DeAndre Hopkins. Kirk is a talented guy, but he's kind of just a home run guy, hit or miss, deep ball. Not going to do a whole bunch of other things there. So add a guy that can really stretch the field out here with Jaylen Waddle. The name of the game for them is offense. The offense, there was games down the stretch that cost them the playoffs that they just didn't have enough offense, and that can't happen. It really just can't happen. So you're going to make this explosive passing offense as good as it can be. Get a guy like Waddle that would assist in that. Next, Raiders take Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, linebacker from Notre Dame. I really think, the Raiders got to make some cuts or trades. We talked about that in a recent AFC West cap fix video. But I think they're going to do that. They're going to clear a lot of space, and I think they're going to go for an edge rusher, a veteran edge rusher in free agency. That's definitely what they should do because these rookies are so hit or miss, in terms of edge rush. So I think they'll get a veteran edge rusher there, and then they'll look to get a guy like Koramoah, who actually could be part of getting pressure on the quarterback. He's a pretty good blitzer, but he's so good in coverage. He's so rangy, can sniff out plays in the backfield, run plays. And I think Gus Bradley would like him. It's kind of that Kenneth Murray that Gus Bradley had to have last year, but he's a million times better in coverage than Kenneth Murray. So it's kind of that utility linebacker. So add him with a big-time edge rush veteran you get in free agency. I think that's likely there. The Dolphins take Kadarius Toney, receiver of Florida. Very good footwork, very good route runner, can play in the slot, play outside. What I noticed, he understands coverages. I thought that stood out against Alabama, which is a plus. Kind of worry about that with receivers. College guys kind of just run to get open. It's a little more complicated than that in the NFL. So that's ideal there. Add that speed, to pair with, that outside contested catch guy like DeVonta Parker, Press Williams, Mike Gesicki, the tight end. So adding Toney's ideal, of course. Rashad Bateman to the Washington football team, Minnesota wide receiver. He added a little more, some slot reps to his game we saw this year. That's pretty good, seeing that he's pretty versatile, can do either. I like the combination of, the footwork and I guess physicality. He's not going to get bodied by anyone either. So I think that type of receiver is pretty good to pair with a guy like Terry McLaurin. So they're still looking for that quarterback of the future. They tried to trade for Stafford. I think it's very, very unlikely to no shot of them getting Watson, unfortunately. But so they're still looking for that quarterback, but you can't force things here. So you take Bateman, get the pieces ready for that quarterback. Bears take Tevin Jenkins from Oklahoma State. That's a guy on the rise, a name that's really been tossed out there a bit. Could be a first-round pick. I like him at right tackle right away. So they'll probably cut Massey, and then they have Ifedi as a free agent. So Jenkins and Leno could make some sense there for the Bears. Another team that's looking for the quarterback, but you can't really force things here. Get the pieces ready. Another team I tried to trade for Stafford as well. We'll see. But the Colts take Liam Eichenberg at 21, so they need a left tackle. This team's had a lot of success because their offensive line, it really stands out pretty much every game. So it's really important they fill that need at left tackle. They actually have some other needs for a pretty good team, but Eichenberg right away will come in and be a dominant run blocker, and they'll like that because they like to run the ball first. They got a question at quarterback too, so running the ball first will be key. So Eichenberg, definitely a very good run blocking tackle. Could work on pass protection a little bit, but still with the available tackles, he's one of the better ones. Titans go Gregory Rousseau. They need to add some pass rush. For sure, the Titans, they haven't really had it in some time, but pair this guy opposite of Harold Landry, and that'll be ideal. He's got a freakish length, for sure, freakish upside, and he can move around a bit. You can stick him on the D-line. The Titans like to do things like that. They like to move guys around a bit. Off the ball, they're standing up on the ball, for guys like this. So, and they'll like him. He might not make a giant impact right away, but he's got crazy upside. So he could be the first edge rusher off the board. I think there's probably two more guys that are probably better day one though. But could the Titans pass on this upside here at 22? Upside like that typically isn't there. Kwity Paye, edge rusher from Michigan. I think pro ready. I think he kind of, for Robert Salah, I think he kind of can fit that Nick Bosa. He's not going to be Nick Bosa, but that role there in his Leo defense. So they're going to need two pass rushers, So I think Kwity Paye, hand in the dirt on one side, and they'll probably have to search for a guy that's standing up, rushing a little bit, that can also drop back and cover when needed, not too often. Steelers go Najee Harris. Top three running backs are actually pretty close. I can see them, the top three, going off really in any order there. But I think the Steelers will like Najee Harris. I think more teams might like Etienne a little better. If you poll teams, maybe because he's got a little more speed. But I think the Steelers would like Najee Harris. Like his vision is improvement catching the ball. in the backfield, downfield, even lining up in the slot. So, it's that style of back. They like the vision with the physicality, the power back at the same time, having that vision, like I mentioned, which is fantastic. But then to elevate that, to elevate his game to catch the ball downfield, I think is just a big plus. So I think they'll like him there. They need to get the running game going. It's going to make, if they get the running game going, it's going to make the play caller's job easier. It's going to make Big Ben's job easier. So that'll be a big focus in my opinion. Next group of picks, Christian Barmore from Alabama. He had a pretty big playoff. The last 2 games of the year, he went pretty crazy. He could stop the run, pretty good at getting some pressure on the interior, and that's what the Jaguars need. They got big names on the edge. They just need some help. Get the interior pressure, force the quarterback outside. Boom, edge rusher gets a sack. So they're missing that interior pressure big time. So they get Barmore there, could also assist in stopping the run. Browns go Nick Bolton. I like Nick Bolton. I like his energy. I like his motor. Very instinctive. Always takes that first step to the ball even before it's snapped and flies to the ball there. Freakish dude on the field. So the Browns like to add a guy like that to their linebacker unit. Ravens go Jaylen Phillips, edge rusher, Miami. I think this is the best edge rusher day one, looking at his tools. He's very good, very effective, pretty underrated in stopping the run as well. The Ravens have a long list of pass rushers that are free agents. I think they'll get 1 or 2 back. It depends on what they want to do. Ngakoue is going to be the most expensive. So if they get him back, they may only get him back, and this might be a giant need. Either way, they have a pretty important rotation, and they're going to lose some of those guys, whether it's Judon, McPhee, Bowser, and talking about Ngakoue. Those guys are pretty important to them. So I think adding a guy like Phillips could do wonders for them. The Saints get Joe Horn's kid, J.C. Horn, ends up on the Saints here from South Carolina. Physical corner, really good in press man, and knows how to read the quarterback, so I like him a lot. This would be a really good value pick here. Back-to-back corners. Eric Stokes, to me, is a guy the Packers will like. I think he's familiar with the press man coverage as well. It reminds me of Jair Alexander a little bit. He's not going to be him. Alexander's a little more of a playmaker as well, but kind of a lockdown, feisty corner, get in your face. Again, really good man coverage. So I think they'll like him. I think they'll move on from Kevin King. They can upgrade from even if he's back anyways. The Bills go Travis Etienne. They need to upgrade the run game. Josh Allen's, people don't realize how hard Josh Allen's job was, and he still played very well because they had no run game. They got a couple running backs that are solid, but you got to find a legit running back one. So you got to be able to run the ball better. You got to make teams fear the run game. I know more people want the Bills to run more play action, but play action doesn't work if nobody's fearing a run game. It's just fact, So and then Etienne really elevated his pass catching game as well. So this will just help them so much. Just the presence of an actual RB1, make teams fear the run game, will make Josh Allen's job easier, and he'll do a better job. Buccaneers, pretty complete roster. In this scenario, I think they'll take Azeez Ojulari, edge rush from Georgia. He fits their scheme. They have Shaq Barrett, free agent, who I think they'll get back, but he's a free agent. JPP, one more year after this is the upcoming year. This is last year. And then pass rush rotation is pretty important as well. So this would be a smart pick. I got the Chiefs taking Dylan Radune's offensive line from North Dakota State. Had a pretty good practice run at the week at the Senior Bowl there. I like that he can play tackle or guard. That really helps the Chiefs out a lot as well. He played at a high level at tackle at North Dakota State, but got some reps at guard at the Senior Bowl. So I think he can plug and play, start at guard for the Chiefs to help them run the ball a little more effectively and get that interior, stop the interior pressure. But if he needs to slide out the tackle, that's fantastic as well. Future starter at tackle perhaps, but they got the injuries there, so he's kind of the guy that can move everywhere. So I like that a lot. So this is our first two-round mock of the offseason here. It's technically not even the offseason yet because the Super Bowl still hasn't been played. But, here we go. I was surprised at the amount of good, talented players that got pushed back, but that happens every year, so it's going to happen. So here we go with some picks here. Samuel Cosme for the Jaguars, so he can actually be their starting left tackle right off the bat there. So that's a guy that potentially go first round. The Jets take Tyson Campbell. It's going to be very important for them to get a starting corner, guy that could potentially go first round. Javonte Williams for the Dolphins. I'm a big Javonte Williams fan. It's too early, I typically don't give my position rankings yet because I want to go through the film, at least a couple more times here throughout this offseason. But Javonte, I'm a big fan. Like, there's a shot he's my number one running back in the class. I'm a huge fan of him. A guy with that much power and strength and balance. He actually can move. He doesn't get enough credit for how when he gets going, he's going. So be a big-time addition for the Dolphins. I think the Falcons would love Javonte Williams too. If he was there, I would have the Falcons taking him. But the Dolphins take him just before. But they got Trevon Moehrig, the TCU safety. He's supposed to be the best safety in the class. I like him as a free safety there, playmaker at the back end. Falcons kind of got to retool that safety group there, in my opinion. So I think they go that route. Patriots get Terrace Marshall. I like Terrace Marshall a lot. Probably should be a first-round pick. The Patriots grab him, with Mac Jones. That'll be good. That'll be obviously very good for them. And the Eagles take Zaven Collins from Tulsa. So they need that linebacker pretty bad. So they get one here that has potential to go late first. What I like about him is he's always around the ball. No matter where the ball was, there's Collins. He's right there, And I also like his versatility, too, because we've seen him kind of go off the edge at times, even though he was an off-the-ball linebacker and kind of did it all. But it's tough to say what he'll actually be at the next stage, and usually those guys drop a little bit, because teams are not really sure about him. I do like him still. We'll wait, though, because we're not really sure, is he going to be a 3-4 inside, a 4-4. The good thing is he can play any of that. He can play any linebacker position, but where is he best? But the Eagles upgrade their linebacker position there. Davion Nixon, another guy that has a shot to go late first from Iowa. He can move across the interior defense line quite a bit. He's going to help stop the run, but he gets good interior pressure. The Lions need to upgrade that for sure. Panthers upgrade at corner. Asante Samuel Jr. could be a playmaker. Was a playmaker. Could be that the next level. The Broncos go Kyle Trask. So maybe they go big or go home at quarterback, because, they give Drew Lock another shot. But if they can get better, then, hey, yeah, they can get better. But Trask potentially could be better. Drew Lock's got a little bit more velocity on his ball. I think Trask is a smarter quarterback and smarter in the pocket, really. Pocket movement's a little better. So they can give that a run and have that open competition, and Trask could be the guy of the future. Levi Onwuzurike from Washington was at the Senior Bowl, didn't get to play in the game. The Cowboys need interior help as well. He's very good at stopping the run. Could get some interior pressure as well. Giants get Elijah Moore, and then that speed receiver that can play slot outside, great footwork, and might be Golden Tate's last year with the Giants, so they definitely could use somebody else, and it can help upgrade their offense if they want to make Daniel Jones work. Kellen Mond, the Senior Bowl MVP, goes to the Niners. I really like the idea of him and Shanahan's scheme, so bring him in, maybe sit him behind Garoppolo. That brings extra athleticism too, so getting a quarterback that can move, which seems to be the name of the game today. But he's got the tools. You see that he's inconsistent, but he's got the tools. He has the downfield ball. He has the ball velocity. He has the mobility, the vision. He can throw in tight windows. He can throw on the run. It's just about putting it together. He has experience in a pro-style offense and a college-style offense as well. So it's just about putting it together. Shanahan, I think, will be confident he can do that with some time. Joe Tryon here, Washington's pass rusher. Chargers going to switch to a 3-4, so they need more of a stand-up pass rusher. I think that's a pretty big need there for them. So that could be Tryon from Washington there. Javon Holland to the Jaguars, a guy that can play safety or corner, and that could really help the Jaguars too, kind of getting a guy that can do both. The Bengals double up on offensive lineman to go Alex Leatherwood, so you're really upgrading the offensive line. Leatherwood has a chance to go first. I think he dropped a little bit after the Senior Bowl, but between him and they took Vera as well. So I think they can put him at guard, Leatherwood at tackle. Jonah Williams can play either. So you're looking a lot better there at that point. Cardinals get their corner, get Paulson Adebo, which some thought he would come out last year. If he would have, he may have been a first-round pick, and then he opted out this year. He's really good at reading the quarterback and attacking the ball if needed there. Pretty good at zone coverage. The last group of picks as well. Raiders take Amon-Ra St. Brown from USC. I think a do-it-all guy. He could play the slot, play outside. I like him a little better outside. But the Raiders are going to need a receiver. They got pretty much Henry Ruggs out there. Nelson Aguilar probably gone. Tyrell Williams probably be cut. So they're going to need another guy that can potentially start for them. So that'll be ideal for them. And again, I think they kind of go edge rush in free agency. Carlos Basham Jr., who can move around a bit. He can play more of an end. He can play, in their scheme, or he can, rush from the edge, standing up if he needs to, and that's kind of Flores' scheme. So adding another guy like that, that could be, he almost could be another Agba in there, rotating in with Lawson. Again, can rush from standing off the ball, so I think that'd be ideal for them. Jalen Mayfield, who actually can go first round as well. I think he could play tackle or guard for the Washington football team. They had a receiver first round, now offensive lineman. And the Bears do the opposite. They go offensive lineman and receiver. So Rondale Moore was potentially go first round, very speedy. electrifying speed. So the Bears, and they kind of could, it depends on, if Allen Robinson's back, I still think they could use a guy like this. They do have Darnell Mooney, but get a guy like Rondale Moore who can be involved in pretty much every, phase of the game there, underneath, downfield, everything. So it's going to make that offense more explosive. Colts go Patrick Jones, the Pittsburgh edge rusher. I like him at defensive end in their scheme. They definitely, if they could add more pass rush from the actual edge position, that'll be ideal for them, and they can do that here. Titans go Tylan Wallace, so potential Corey Davis replacement, but more speed, more that home run threat downfield. Pairing with A.J. Brown be fantastic. Seahawks go Landon Dickerson, who can start at guard or center at guard day one, I think. So, Seahawks just in general just helping that interior pressure that they've been allowing too much of. Steelers go Wyatt Davis, another guy that could potentially go first. Get that guard, get that run game going. That's what they want to do. They need better run blocking, better run game, and they almost fixed it after 2 picks here, so that's ideal. Trey Smith, another guy I like. Inconsistent at the Senior Bowl. Just put a guy in the dirt 1 rep in one-on-ones, then he kind of getting off balance, falling down a little bit on 1 rep. So, hot, big highs, big lows there. But the Rams, got to keep that offense line set for Matthew Stafford. So that'll be ideal. Browns go Liam McNeil from NC State. True nose tackle. I think it'd be a very good nose tackle in today's NFL. And the Browns did sign Andrew Billings, and they didn't get to see him play this year, who's a nose tackle. But, I think you get better here with McNeil, and it really solidifies your future. So pairing a guy like that with Sheldon Richardson would be, they basically had 2, because Ogunjobi is almost like another, Sheldon Richardson. Sheldon Richardson's much better and gets more pressure, but they really didn't have somebody in there that can plug up the inside and stop the run. So, and it could be Billings again, but I think it's an upgrade here at McNeil. The Ravens go Creed Humphrey, so it's pretty tough not having the Ravens go receiver after the first 2 rounds, but they have other giant needs as well, and they tend to, pass up on the receivers, really. So Creed Humphrey can play center or guard for them. That can help them out a ton. They had some pretty bad play at center this year. I could see them liking Creed Humphrey in there. And then the Saints go Tutu Atwell. Need speed at the receiver position. They most likely could move on from Emmanuel Sanders. Either way, it's not long-term future. So Tutu Atwell, pair him with Michael Thomas. That's that speed that they need there at receiver. The Packers end up passing on receivers back-to-back rounds, which we know is realistic. I wouldn't really approve. But if Atwell was there, I'd probably have them taking Atwell. But Cameron McGrone from Michigan, pretty underrated. I like him at 3-4 defenses. That's what the Packers, they're going to have a new coach and a new defensive coordinator, in there. I think they'll still run with that. Zadarius Smith is so, he's kind of got to create for the rest of his team a bit much. They got other players, but, Zadarius Smith is an edge rusher, but a lot of times he'll stunt inside. It's almost like a blitz, and teams are starting to figure that out, so there's just too much on him. So, and they could upgrade the inside linebacker position anyway, so you kind of get 2 for 1 here. You get a guy that's an inside linebacker that's going to help stop the run. It's going to be an upgrade at the inside linebacker in their 3-4, but he's a very good blitzer as well. So that's going to open things up for the whole defense. So I think that's a pretty good fit there. Bills go Deontay Brown. It's tough to figure out what the Bills do at offensive line because they got some free agents. Looking at Darrell Williams, who played very well at right tackle, but they have Cody Ford, who's a right tackle, but also can play guard. So do they resign Darrell Williams? Do they put Cody Ford at guard? Do they let Darrell Williams go? Do they keep Cody Ford at right tackle? Do they need to pick up a guard? Feliciano's also a free agent as well. So Deontay Brown, from Alabama there. The Bills want to be able to run the ball more effectively, and the run blocking could be a little better. Pass protection's pretty solid, but Deontay Brown's a nasty run blocker. So that could work out for them. Marvin Wilson to the Buccaneers. They might need an Ndamukong Suh replacement. I think Marvin Wilson could be a solid one there. A pretty balanced defensive lineman. He could get better at getting after the quarterback, stopping the run, but he's equally good at both of them. And the Chiefs go Joseph Asai. I'm not as high on Asai. I don't think he'll go as early as some people have him. But he's a high motor guy. I think this is around the range. The problem with him as well is because he played on the ball, standing up as well, but almost kind of got the 4-3-N type feel. But when you look at him, his build, where his strengths are, it almost feels like he's a 3-4, outside. So it's tough to figure out where he'll go, but I think the Chiefs will make him work, and he has experience in, putting his hand in the dirt, which the Chiefs will need. But they need another pass rusher on the outside. It's too much on Frank Clark on the outside, too much on Chris Jones on the inside. so they can add him. There's still a lot of good players that could go second round, so we see how good the class is. I think it's definitely better offensively. Quarterbacks are loaded. It's going to be fun mainly because of that, but once again, there's some really good receivers, some good offensive linemen down here. You see a stretch of them with, even at the top there, Jalen Mayfield, Landon Dickerson, Wyatt Davis, Trey Smith, Creed Humphreys, Deontay Brown. Pretty good offensive class. Some good defensive players, of course. Still a lot of good players left. That's what happens in the draft. People always slide that aren't expected, and then people end up, surprised. But really, you almost should expect at this point. But it's just figuring out who will it be, what teams will draft purely off need, which teams will draft best player available, which I recommend. We'll see. But a lot to break down this offseason. For the NFL draft, but free agency as well, and free agency is not too far away, so we have you covered with that. All kinds of videos on the channel, a lot more to come, more NFL content than anybody out there on the planet, so please join us for that content. Subscribe, turn notifications on, be much appreciated. Make sure you follow that Twitter. It's an absolute must follow if you're a fan of our channel or the NFL. But that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.